Hi everyone. Okay, so we're going to continue on with the wave. So after the last live class, we kind of have a good idea. It helps you make a plan, of how you're going to move light. We go through, basically the yellows, through the oranges, down into your reds, into your violets, and into the final deeper shadows, into those blues, those real cool dark blues. Okay, so that's basically as you move light through there. Now and again, to reinforce some of the things I said in the last video, you can, when you come into those areas and that broken color, so when you're making your reds, maybe you take it down with a little bit of green, you model. And so a lot of times you hear me talk about rocks, I'll say I make them from blues and oranges and reds and greens, yellows and violets, complements, a lot of those complements. And that's how you walk those color progressions here across from your light to dark. If you're uncomfortable with working water, sliding it around, and you're afraid it's going to dry a bit, I have out here a couple of things. First, I have my extender. This is that gelled extender, and you could use that if you want. And then they have the open medium. I always will start, if I'm in the back, I like things thin, so I'll just take my bigger brush here with a little bit of extender and push that right over. Matter of fact, I'm just going to go right over the whole darn thing here. And it'll stay wet like this for a good 30 minutes at least, maybe upwards of an hour, depending on how much you use. I don't like to use too much of it, so I'll wipe that down just a bit. And we streaked some of that back water, but you can see there in the photo and everything, I could go a little bit more blue. So I'll thin this out. I'm going to put some open medium in here, and if I add a lot of the open medium and some extender so it's a little bit thin, it'll streak really nice. See how it streaks? And so we're going to want to leave some of these streaks, and we want to go right up to the edge there of the water. I'm going to kind of paint through my wave a bit here. I'll reset that. It's not hard setting the wave here. And this will push some of my wave back again. So if you get your wave and stuff and you think it's too light or you want to rework it, paint it out with the ocean. Now there'll be a little bit darker streaks, a bit more towards the violets, but you got to be kind of careful that you don't put too much of it in. So we'll streak some of the violets here, and everything stays thin. It looks dark here, but it's thin into the brush, so it stays thin into my water here as well. Okay, so we'll just streak in some of the movement. Now you could use your brush and do small movements like this, which will give it that more choppy look that you see into the water. There's some areas of really light. The sky, remember, water, sky reflects really easy, so you can push some of that in. This is my 3/4 inch brush. You could probably do it a little bit thinner, but I like to do some of this. I try to use, like Sargent says, the biggest brush as possible, using different edges and angles and corners and stuff, and move it around. Let's just manipulate, not quite that light, but just a nice blue right along that water's edge there of that island. And try not to do too big or long ones without moving it around a bit here, like that. So we get some interest into the water, and a bit of dark streaks through as well. So you can go back light and dark here. You can see, and that will give some of the wind chop and stuff like that you can see here. But working it a couple of times, a little darker as you come forward here, which is what we want. A little bit of violet, a little bit darker as we come forward with some of this. Get a little choppy here, just like that. So that extender really helps you slide. And like I've showed you before in other water, I will use extender and that open medium together. Boy, that just really slides across. It's a bit much for what we're trying to do, what I'm trying to do right in here, so I don't want to get too carried away with it, but it does work. Now this wave right here, you start to pick up a little bit that this wave is moving up. So we'll put a bit of an angle here. We'll refine this as we get into that other wave. But just use like the chisel of your brush with some of that dark, just to break it up, get some movement back through here. That's all we want, right like that. So that gives some ocean. You'll drive yourself nuts trying to copy the ocean like that. So just capture the essence of it, and then you're fine. Okay. Now, also one other thing. Notice my lost edges to there. Those are very, very important. Very, very important. Lose those edges so it goes back. So when you look at that, and I look at the camera you're looking at, your eye really sees some more clarity of color here, and then further back as you go back. That's what we want. Now, okay, let's talk about something else here. Let's rinse that color real quick. And we have that nice extender. Make sure we have some of that over the surface. A little bit of blues, okay? Now, so this is our glow. And you can really see the glow up into this area and a little bit up over there. I'm going to take some of that glow out. Little yellow oxide, a little bit of diarylide yellow. I'm going to walk right through that, some of that glow. Now, once that glow is there, you can always bring it back pretty easy. And you'll see that, boy, that's just matching that color over there pretty good. We want to get into these tones, those warmer yellow oxide tones here. That's a nice warm light here. And that's going to come right down in here. So we'll put that yellow oxide right down in there. Capture some of that. You can see that's a good yellow orange. That's the orange that we're seeing coming out of the yellow into the oranges. Yellow oxide is actually a little bit towards the yellow orange. Let's put a bit of that right up over here. Okay, you can see some of that will make that kind of greenish color in there. Okay, that's kind of pretty. Let's take a bit of that over a bit. So, and what I do when I'm doing something like this with the wave is I'm going to glaze these colors back and forth like this. So look at that camera and say, okay, yeah, I'm starting to get some of that yellow in there. We'll just model some of that yellow up into this area. Now, if you paint something out, the very best way to recapture it is to dry your piece, paint white back into it, and then reglaze those yellows. Okay, so it's, you know, if you make a mistake, you can bring it back. It doesn't hurt it. I look also for contrast. So I look also, let's bring some of that darker blue right up here towards the front of the wave. If I see a little bit of it, I'll accentuate it, especially right up where I want my center of interest. I'm going to accentuate that a bit. Let's put that softer horizontal movement of that right in there, but leave some of that dark and some of those violets there. That's going to be important. Okay. Then we already splashed some of our dark in here. We could splash some other darks in here. You could take a little bit of your open medium. You could use a little gel extender if you want. You know, let's just push some of that through. I love the open medium, working that through. And what I'm going to do, just like I talked to you about in the the live class, is I'm going to be looking for my dark colors, and I'm just going to start building my waves like this, streaking the darks, blues, violets here. As I approach some of the lightness in the waves, I'm going to head this way. I'm just going to set up a little bit lighter color. Sometimes it'll have a little violet in it, which we know is going to happen. And I'll push some of that in right up into the yellow. And usually what I'll do is I'll push it up towards the yellow. And then you pick that yellow up in your brush and you want to pinch wipe that off a bit so you don't drag it everywhere. So you want to push it up into the wave here. And you can pull back like with your finger the other side here. But you don't want to take it out of the wave. And so what's going to make the wave pretty is you're going to work dark to light. And you're just going to streak some of this. Constantly be wiping your brush and redressing it with a little different color so that so every little streak gets all this interest in here. Wipe your brush And this, you know, it takes a while, but you're talking about the interest area of your painting here. So we want to pull up into the wave to give it that motion and lift off. Now sometimes I'll leave it that rough because that's just nice motion into that wave, letting some of that, you know, the color goes there. But how soft, like there's a real light area right in there. So I'll pick up some of this, maybe some violet, maybe some light, and I'll push that. But what I do is I work from the dark towards the light, so I'll come back with another stroke here and work right into that light, adding some of this violet. I wipe my brush and I do it again. And I use as large a brush as I possibly can. That wave is going to come right up here, so maybe I can pull back a bit through there. But that's going to get, see, that's going to get these marks. See where the yellow shows through, where the violet shows through. And you want to do this real slow. You want to do it lots of times here and just slowly pull those colors through there so you get that beautiful transition of those colors through that wave, okay? And then we'll build white and stuff like that. But that's what I'm going to work on. And I'm going to do the same thing like I showed you before. Back and forth in between here. Mix up, use lots of your open medium, your extenders. That just causes your paint to slide here as you work these colors. Now we're going to the violet. So as we head over here to the right side of our painting, our waves and stuff here become, everything in here becomes very violet. And we'll streak, don't do it too long, but start to streak some of these colors. And every once in a while, streak back. Just pull real slow. You can see pulling slow, you get that beautiful movement of the wave here. And, you know, you may eventually want to do some of this with the palette knife, streak some of it around like that. But we want to make sure that we follow this beautiful motion of that as we put all of that on, right? So I'll move this. You'll see lots of smaller little movements here. Redress your brush. Don't go back and forth. You'll put a cloudy look over it. Okay? So just pull a streak. Let that set. Set some more water in there like that. Okay? Don't go back and forth too much because you'll just be painting a, you know, you'll be actually losing some of your undertone when you do that. And if you get too much, just come back in with some of those beautiful other tones here. Usually a little like darker and stuff in. And just work that through just a bit here. Just like that, okay? So I'm going to streak just like I showed you guys there, up through there. And start setting some of that ocean, that motion to the ocean. And then you can come in, just like I showed you in the live class, in working some of that wave and doing some scumbling. You can work on that. What I did was I just took my large brush, and you can see the colors down here, working into the violets and stuff. Guess I better push that up there. Working into the violets and stuff, and just scumbling a little bit of those violets around, lightening it up a bit, and just putting a few indications of splashes and stuff around there. Also put a little bit of water down here. Now down in here I just put, you know, like I told you in the live class, I just took a little burnt sienna and some of the blue, and just give the indication that maybe there's some rocks underneath there. All this is just streaking back and forth, and try all different kinds of stuff. Some of you are really going to like the palette knife. I use the palette knife a lot towards the end. So what I do is, this is the Liquitex number 5 knife, and so I'm going to come in here. I'm going to come in and emulate some of that. Let's move this over a bit. Some of this lighter here. I'm going to start out with just a touch lighter violet. Now, I like lots of open medium here, and even some of the gel extender. Try some different things. Let's mix that up into some of that violet that I had here. Let's lighten that up a bit, okay? But, I mean, a lot. At least 1 to 1. At least an equal amount into here, so that you're going to get some sliding. And it's stiff, and it's a little sticky. And I'm going to hold light pressure onto the knife like this, and I'm just going to drag it lightly across the surface. Just lightly kiss the surface, just lightly. So you get some of that back and forth, this highs and lows of the color in there. That's what you want. And I'm going to take some of that you can push that up, you know, like, okay, so this one comes, so you can push some of that just like this, like up into that wave like this, see? Slide it. Now my surface here is still very wet, but see how I can slide that and get that color. Now what I'm going to do is take my dirty brush that I was doing that scumbling with, pinch wipe it out a bit like this, hold it very flat, and then pull, lightly pull through that just to blur it, not blend it, blur it. So we want to leave those streaks through some of that water there, see? And you know, it depends. You know, the more you can blur it a little bit less. Now, I lost some of my yellow in there. I'll add that back in. Or you can add that back in. Or you can use your solvent. Remember, you always have your solvent techniques. This the paper towel with just a little bit of the water in it here can take some of that out and push some of that yellow, that light color that was originally there back out here. And you can pull that right down into there. Look at the beautiful colors you can get into that wave. Okay, now that's a little bright. And, you know, I'll take some of that out. But just like I showed you in the live class, pulling out to, you know, colors out with a little bit of water is so great. So you can pull some of this right back out of here to get some of those colors. You don't always have to paint positive. You can paint negative like this, taking some of that out. And you can lightly blur some of that back, you know, follow the motion, the movement of the water. That's the other thing, is you want some of these to kind of come together, flow together. This is why I always say to everybody, you should study rosemalling, because rosemalling is the flowing of all these scrolls and stuff together. And water flows just like the scrolls. Let's take a little bit lighter and just add some of that right out here, like that other movement that's right there. Let's take some of that out. I'll take some of that out right here by pushing. Okay, and then I can flow that around, or I can push this as a little choppy wave right there, depending upon how I push that around. See, so you can make a little choppy wave right here. We don't want to use white. See, I'm way down here. I'm right down in here like a 6 to a 7. I'm really in the shadow back here. See, so you don't want to get too light. But I like the little bubbly here that can happen to some of the waves here with putting it on like this. So we'll want to push some of this right up. And we can go right up the crest of the wave. Now you can scumble it, or you can just drag your knife like this. And I like to do a little bit of both, because each will give a bit of a different look to the painting. Here, you can blur it out. Remember, blur, just a few strokes. You know, you want to leave some of that color there. So just a few strokes. You don't want to go crazy with that. Let's put a bit of that light right down this wave here, so I can push it up or I can pull it back. And that got just a little bit too smooth, so I just tapped the knife a bit to break that up. And then I could come in there with some dark, smaller brush and some dark to fix that. But as I go through here, so now I have the violets, and we'll head over to take some of this blue with some of your lighter violets, some whites. Make sure you get some of that medium in there. Maybe start to warm it just a bit. Here, you go to your violets, you go over towards your greens, your reds, a little bit of red in there. Okay, just a soft little bit of color here as you head towards that light that's here. We'll push a bit of this, just tapping. I like to tap with the corner of a large brush. That gives me more interest to it. Okay, there's a bit of it just arching up here. Just touch it right into that violets there, just like that. And again, you can take a bit of your water solvent to take out if you want. I'm going to take a bit of that red, yellow here. Let's build this back up in here again, scumble that around here, just like I showed you in the live class. So I'm going to build that. And I'm going to build all these waves like that. And some of these little waves, you might want to take this light like this, even with the knife with a little bit of blue in it, and just hit a bit like this. Instead of using the scumbling of it, hit it like this, and you can push that into the motion of the wave. You can tap the little edges to create some some of the scumbling here, to create the rough little breaking water here. Pull back down a bit here, create that broken water there of that coming through. All kinds of little looks that you can do. So, but get quiet inside and work through your violets, and then you're slowly getting lighter through your oranges and into your yellows, slowly getting lighter here, pushing some of this on, scumbling some of that on, so you can see some of that wave, and building that wave like that, and building those other colors like I also showed you on the live class. Okay, look at how warm, and you got to be able to see it, how warm, and then the cool shadow that goes down there. I could be a little more violet down in here, but I put on some yellows, and then quite a bit. This real warm color here is really an orange, and so I made my orange from my Dari light and a little touch of the naphtha red light. I made it up over here, this nice warm orange, and then I put in just a little touches of the light, and did that spattering with the end of a little bristle brush, like I showed you in the live class. So it does put that nice little spray that comes out through there. And you could do a little, I haven't done it yet through here, but you can do a little bit of spattering through there as well. Now, I'm just going to go through and restate the rocks. Paint them basically like, we did in, start out with those yellows, get some burnt siennas, yellows to oranges. We'll set that real nice warm right in here where that light's going to hit, little bits of it. I like to set those nice warms, and then I'll go in and, we're going to go basically from the warms into the violets over here. Let me go over just a bit more here. The violets over here, and then we use those darks. Make sure you get those nice blues that we saw down here. Then we'll get those nice darks down there. And yeah, it's just a building. It's just a process of building. Now that I had that other color, see, I can really drop in that nice light yellow. And then we go over towards our oranges, towards our burnt siennas here. And a lot of times I'll tone those oranges and stuff and reds with some burnt sienna, some green here, that vary those colors here. Just get those oranges and all different kinds here. Head this way, well, not quite so bright, but a little yellow oxide in the green, and then the red, a nice toned orange that can come in here. See, that's a pretty color tapped into some of those rocks there, and we'll have some of that. Once you have that tone kind of mixed up, you can use it around a bit here, into some of these others. But they're going to go from those nice warm tones here down into the cooler violets as they go down here. So we walk on down, put your, and you don't have to do a tremendous amount into the rocks here. That's all up to you. But I do like to put different colors, and then I'll go, so from the oranges, then we go down towards our violets and stuff, and our reds and violets here, and and tone them with some of the greens, then into your violets and blues down through here. So you can see, these are going to be your rocks, but you're going to use lots of broken color. So I'll use lots of tones here and small brush, and follow kind of the plane of the rock like we've done before, in setting some of those up here. And then we'll break the color. We'll use some broken color. So on some of the violets, we might put little touches of warm orange colors in there. Okay, and it's just a matter of how much time. Now it's like I've told you so many times, it's how much time that you're going to put into the painting here. But I'm going to go from warm to cool and just break that up and check your values, check your colors. Remember what I always said, you can put a little bit of the color onto a paper, a towel and stuff, and check it. And then I might come in here with a little bit more violet. I need a little bit more violet in there. I can see that now. And it's kind of funny, as you build, you know, you're going to see some of these different things, okay? See some of these different things. But I just want to give you some direction to this. I don't want this to be a paint right along with me. We've done quite a bit. We've concentrated on this lesson on learning how to see, and that's what we want to do. We want to see, because I want everyone to, their own kind of brush calligraphy to come out. And see, I want to leave some of this. I know the other one there has, the wave is way behind the rock, but I might leave some of this. Might put this rock back up in front here and see if you know, it all depends on what you want to do with yours. And I'll grab some of the violet right along the line of my blue there to dribble it over the rocks. And, you know, it's all up to you how much you do to it, okay? So make a plan, follow that plan, and then always leave a little bit of adjustment. But, you know, I have found with painting the wave that I'll put this stuff on, and I'll put in very little white, just very little white. And as I'm painting the motion and stuff through the wave here, I tend to, you know, just like I do with a lot of things, I love to paint out with darks, not lights. So I like to put light on and paint out with dark. Give that a try. Some of you will be the reverse, and that's okay. That's all right, because we're all different, okay? All right, so take a look at the final photo. Just build those rocks. Remember, we put those darker violets and the blues down here to kind of break up the rocks a bit. And then it's all up to you how much you're going to put into it, okay? All right, have fun, and I'll look forward to seeing some of your paintings. Thanks a lot. I'll catch you on the next lesson.